thinking about trying to get some lads to come down, and we're always really willing to come and give you whatever encouragement, whatever advice, tell whatever stories we can, because rugby is quite important to us. It's very important, and that's why Keith, myself and Rob have come down this morning. Keith in particular has come down as part of Rugby AM, and that's a bit of an initiative between Alex Simmons, Casey and himself, and Josh, who's doing some photo stuff, and a few other lads that are involved in rugby league that want to give back to the community as well. I feel that rugby league is pretty much undercooked in this country, and when we watch Premier Sports and NRL, see the great time they have with the footy show. Unfortunately, we think there's an audience here that don't get service what they should, and just if rugby league is going to capitalise and be the sport that it should be, particularly off the back of the World Cup that we've just had, then everybody has to go above and beyond their own call of duty to make sure that we do that, because if we don't, then nobody else is going to do it. So Keith's come down, and we're lucky that Keith is a legend in his own right. I think if you look in 2010, Guinness Book of World Records, he's in it as well, however many tries he scored. But he's an evil bloke, he's like Lord Voldemort, he's a flipping, most miserable man you're going to come across. But he does stuff like this because he's an absolute superstar. Obviously we're here talking about international rugby today. I've been really fortunate to represent my country on a few occasions, not more so than these guys. These are 2 or 3 times more what I've done. And I think for me, really briefly, the biggest message I want to give to you guys is I've been fortunate in my career to win a lot of trophies, domestically and a few small ones internationally as well. But looking back now, the actual trophies themselves aren't that important to me in a funny sort of way. You know, you forget about the games, you forget about what happened in certain matches. You can even go back and put a DVD in, or look on the series link of a game that you played in, some big game, a final. Think, I don't even remember 2/3 of that. What you always remember, though, is when you look at photographs, the people that you're in the photographs with, or your teammates, the people that you've been on that journey with, that's what you remember. I'll never ever in a million years forget what Burrow is, or what he's done, and the enthusiasm that he brings on the morning, how cheeky he is and small, and the magic stuff that he does in the game. The game itself is pretty relevant. And I guess that's the message I want to give to you guys, is whatever you do now in the next coming weeks and months, what's really important is that you do it as a group, because you remember the journey that you walk on, the destination itself. Whether you're actually going to lose, you put everything 10 out of 10 into winning, but actually the destination isn't as important as what the journey's been on. It's obviously a real honour to play for your country, and obviously you don't get to do it every day. And I trained in that ETS squad for 2 years, planning for the World Cup that we've just had. And obviously I tore my PCL in the semi against Wigan last year, so I missed out on it. And but Steve Mack was real kind. He invited me in to do the shirt presentation before the Italy game, which we got beat at, so obviously very good. But to me, just being on that journey with them guys, even though I didn't have that chance to play in the World Cup, just reminded me how important it is to make the most of every minute that you've got with that group, because you never know when it might be your first or last game. Just want to ask Rob really quickly, obviously you've played a million times for your country, being a big international player, domestic player. What's it mean? Big performer, what's it mean to actually represent England?
Yeah, it means everything, John, like you said. Obviously when I was a kid watching TV in Wembley and Great Britain, I think it's something that you aspire to want to be involved in. So for it to happen, it is a dream come true. Obviously you can ask Keith, there's no better feeling than standing in your team doing the national anthem for England, and really, I mean, you get goosebumps, just watching it on telly. So being involved in it really is special. And I think the difference in normal games, because like I say, you play 300 odd times for Leeds, which is a complete honour, but they're just different. You enjoy them differently because you represent your country, and it means so much to you. But it flies by very quickly as well. It almost seems like it didn't happen, because you kind of take it differently to what it is for a league game. But an absolute honour, and it's a pinnacle of my life, in my life, certainly in my rugby career. It's as far as you can go in your sport, is represent your country and playing a World Cup, and I've been lucky enough to play in 2. So totally agree with what you said though about the journey and things like that. And obviously that's. You can go in a lot of detail about that, but it's just an amazing, and playing for England is part of the journey, throughout my career. So loved every minute of it, and it's been something I've had a goal, and I've managed to achieve that. So I'm very proud of that.
Definitely. When you think about the intensity of the play Super League every week, playoffs, grand finals, they're really good. But when you play against New Zealand and Australia, the intensity is even bigger, and you probably don't play enough international games either throughout a year or even in a career to ever get used to that. Do you ever feel like that you're right at the top of your physical ability? Did you still get nervous for them games even after you played 10, 11, 12 of them?
Yeah, well, I get nervous every game. I'm less nervous now as I've got older, but certainly as a kid, a young kid, in the early 20s, I was very nervous. Really big part of the game was building up the nerves. So, but I've never changed really. I've always been nervous, and I think it's good to be nervous for games. It's not a fear or scared or anything like that. It's just because you want to do well, and you with the fear of failure really. So I think that's part and parcel. I'll tell the young kids I coach now, it's good to have nerves because you care to do well and want to do well. So, but talking about the intensity of the games, yeah, I think the Super League playoffs are as near as you can get to an international game. I mean, it really does lift the level, and just when you think you couldn't get any harder, it seems to do. And obviously the Kiwis and people like that, they're just strong men. So obviously I'm not the biggest, so I find it hard on the physical side anyway. But coming against people from New Zealand especially, they're just absolute animals. So you can't prepare for that, and I'm glad they only play a few times because they don't get to play many games. But it's different. It's different, but that's what it's about, isn't it? It's top of your sport, so you expect it to be better than the league games.
It's like watching a Klingon warbird land and all these big flipping New Zealanders come out. It's all a scary thing. You're not that bothered about those. You're a little bit different, Keith, aren't you? I know you played your game and you just went out and performed. But what was it like for you? You never ever got those. You just went. We're not all the same, are we? Some people are different, and if you're not a nervous person, that's fine as well.
Yeah, and that's it. And that's what we realised as a Leeds team in the changing room. We used to have a little bit of a fun corner, which some of us used to sit about with me, Lee Smith. A few of us, we used to just sit about and we used to mess about and we used to joke. Then you'd have Jones in the other corner, banging his head against a brick wall, and effing on behind him. That was before you were into golf. He's the type of person that's really aggressive, motivated, and tries to get himself out of the game. Then you've got Rob, who 4 hours before the game, we've got to get there at 6:30. So you normally get there for about 6 o'clock. Without fail, you'd see Rob sat there in his full kit, 2 cans of Red Bull either side, reading the programme. This is like at 5:30 before the game, because he gets nervous and he likes to get prepared. And he's the type of person that is buzzing. He has Red Bull to get him hyped up, and he does do that, and he starts talking a lot, and he's going around, he's like a little bloody fly going in everybody's ear, making sure that everybody knows the role and everybody's switched on. So they're the different types of characters that are in changing rooms, and everybody's got different characters, and you've got to respect everybody's personality and what they're like. So I knew that I couldn't go over to Jonesy and start telling him a joke, because he'd get a little bit upset. So we've got our nice little corner, and that's the same about a lot of people's personalities. For games, I don't really get nervous. It's just something, because it's about the journey again. I enjoy the warm-up. I get into the warm-up, I have a good time in the warm-up, and I enjoy all the atmosphere, the crowd, and everything that's going on. And that's my way of coping and enjoying rugby, so to speak. So like I say, you play a game. I can't tell you anything about most of the games that I've played. I can't remember a thing, but I can tell you about the warm-up most of the time. Like playing at Old Trafford in the grand final, the warm-up was one of the best things for me. The first time I walked out Old Trafford, the atmosphere was absolutely immense. And it's just a carnival atmosphere, so to speak, and I enjoy that, because when you're in the moment and you're in the game, that's your main focus, and you blank all the atmosphere out, so you don't really. And plus, I used to get a load of swearing and abuse and a load of name calling, so I learned to shut that out. So I didn't really let nerves be a factor for me.
Nice nerves. Just thinking about Avengers, X-Men, Heroes, all these things I think she'll tell it a minute, and everybody loves it. And it reminds me a little bit when he talks about players. Right? I think everybody's got a unique ability to themselves, and the reason why you get picked in representative groups is because only you can bring to that team what you can bring. So it's really important that you go out and just be yourself, and that's why you've been picked. Because everybody's got like a special superhero power in my eyes, I believe. I'm just very good at being average for a long period of time. So I do lots of tackles and just stick ball into carries, give lots of penalties away and make the team defend. Or take sellers on my tackle like last night. People like Burrow, right, he'll come on and do some magic. I'm thinking of grand finals, or semi-finals, the grand final against St Helens, that amazing try that he scored. Only Rob can do that. Keith, the big monster that he is, the big iron palm he used to call it, going down there scoring a million tries, taught me my trade, if I'm honest with you. He used to give me, talking about defending, he used to talk all the time, and I didn't really have to think too much about what I was doing, because Keith told me what I was doing. And if I didn't do it, then flipping, talking about swearing and verbal abuse, telling you, oh yeah, that's what Keith was like. But we're all obviously very different. Now, me and Robert are fortunate to still be play the game now. We're still hopefully got a few more years. Just looking back yourself, Keith, I was in the very last tackle of that last game, and it was your fault. In a funny sort of way. I remember Keith getting tackled as against Westfield. He said, I've done Jones, when he's gone, you have to mark it by yourself. I'll never forget it. It's an honour in a way to be with Keith. And I watched 300 last night, the film, and like they're all dying there. They all turned out of the eldest and said, oh, it's an honour to have died here. And in a funny sort of way, it's an honour for me to be in that last tackle with Keith, being honest with that it is. But what's probably the biggest sort of memory, whether international or domestic, when you look back over your career, is it true that it's not just about this idolatrous journey for silverware that will fade and people will forget about? I imagine you look back now, right from the Wakefield career up to that last game, and there's some real special memories. What are probably a bit more special ones there?
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for reminding me about my knee. May 20th, 2011, 9:35, I actually ruptured my ACL knee ligament, and that's my career over with. I'm not bitter about it, don't worry.
Got a bit naughty for a while. It went down deep in Keith's depression. And
Jonesy bought me a Bible, but it didn't work.
And he was driving an Audi R8 at the whole office. Probably good pleasure for him.
Yeah, like I say, for me, a lot of it is changing in banter. Like I say, we all want to win trophies and we all want to win medals and we all want to represent this country. I remember I made my debut back in 1996 for Great Britain on a tour to Papua New Guinea, Fiji and New Zealand. And it was a great learning experience for me as a kid, but I wasn't ready. I made my debut against Fiji. I actually scored the winning try in that game in a 76-6 win. So it was quite an honour. My match stats for that game were actually one missed tackle, no tackles, one try. There's a picture of me in the Great Britain kit. Somehow I managed, and it's white still, somehow I managed to get on the subs bench for the first test against New Zealand the week after. Me and Adrian Morley were on the bench. I came on with about 20 minutes to go. 5 minutes later, Moz came on. He made one tackle, got sin-binned. We were winning the game. John Team were in the left centre for New Zealand, and they absolutely ripped me to shreds. Absolutely destroyed me. Me and Moz got a lot of blame for that game. That was my second Great Britain game. Everybody absolutely slating and saying that we're not good enough. Great for me, absolute great experience for me, because it made me realise that I wasn't good enough. And it was a smack in the face for me, and it realised I had a lot of hard work to do. And I'd experienced playing for the country, going on a tour, enjoying the journey, having a crack with lads, going, travelling the world. So I wanted that more than anything. I wanted to do that, but not just play for my country. I wanted to be consistently playing for my country. I missed out in '97, and then for the following 10 years I played for my country every year. So that was my motivation, not actually playing for my country, but consistently doing something that I wanted to do. Because doing something once is relatively quite easy. Doing it again and again and again, and that's when people try and knock you off your perch and try to beat you, and they start realising the qualities that you bring. That's when it becomes difficult. And we realised that when we won the grand final 3 years on the trot for Leeds. It's a great achievement to win the grand final, but to continuously doing it, we're the only team that's done it. To win the grand final for 3 years on the bounce. Because everybody's after knocking you off your perch. So you've got to continuously keep on improving, and you've got to keep on getting better, and you've got to keep on striving to be better. And that's what motivates you. It's not just in sport, though, it's in every walk of life, it's in your jobs, what you do. If you're comfortable where you are, you're never going to get any better. You always want to strive to be better. You always want to strive to be head teachers, to be the top of the field, you know, to be the best that you can be. Anything that you do within sport and within work, it's exactly the same. You always want to strive to reach the top of your desired profession.
I'm glad you brought up adversity and striving. I think that the cultures, especially when you watch films, like you're going to play a game, it's a big game, and you think, I need to play well in this game, do something really special. And in all the films, somebody does something special, well, if you watch Mighty Ducks or something, and in a game of rugby league, you know, they'll chip over the top and backheel it and run an 80 metre try and do something that you never ordinarily do. And I think for me, what's really important when you go into the finals, as I said before, you look around the changing rooms, and all you're asking is if everybody gets 8 out of 10 at doing what they're good at, more often than not, you're going to get that win. So the Hollywood thing is a real myth. So people, I think, have a lot of fear about performing or coming up with something special, when really all you need to do is be who you are for that 80 minutes. Just quickly, Rob, I just wanted to ask you one last question. People look at us sometimes as professional players, look at Keith Senior, yourself, legend in what you've achieved, but actually we're still on them ongoing battles. We have not arguments with teammates, we have confrontations, we sometimes don't play as well as we want to. We're always scrutinising our own game, and I think when you're doing this sport, that dopamine, if you're playing darts, right, you throw the dart in, you get it in the treble 20, you get that dopamine release, that feel-good factor. Whenever you miss it, alright, you might be just a millimetre outside the treble 20, it's the opposite. And the relationship between the two, eventually you get that muscle memory, where Philip Taylor now, he's done it that many times, and his muscles know where that good feeling is, so he can replicate that. That's where good practice, $10,000, obviously makes perfect. But obviously, the higher up the tree you go, it never changes relatively, because you're still competing against people of the same. So I guess the point is, what I'm trying to tell everybody is, it's not a bad thing to make mistakes, as long as you're always trying your best, and you're like Keith said, you always want to rectify them and be your best. And I know you've obviously would have experienced that. We never actually feel like we make it ourselves, do we?
No, that's right, and I think Leeds are a great example of having them times during the year where it's good and bad. I mean, we won it 2 years from 5th, which, you know, 5th isn't brilliant by a long shot, but I think we had more lows that year, didn't we?
Yeah.
More and then low moments than you could imagine. And then again, we ended on a great high because we found form at the right time, and we had some momentum going into the playoffs. So that's exactly what it's like. I mean, it's very rare, well, it's unlikely that anybody can go in Super League unbeaten or anything like that and be perfect every game, because it's just not possible. The competition is too strong for that. But I think it's important that you do taste those negatives throughout the year. I mean, if you watch Leeds a lot, you know, we're either really good or we can be really, really crap. It's just the way we are sometimes. We try hard, do it every week. It's not like we don't switch on one game and we do the next week. It's just the way it is, and a lot of that's about how the other team plays. But if we can do that more often than not, we know that we're going to be hard to beat. And you know, this year we've been pretty good, but throughout the life I've been playing for Leeds, we've always been as many bad moments as there are good moments. But again, that's part of the journey. That's, you know, every road you travel on in life, just, you know, bubbling and goes around corners, up hills a lot of the way. But, you know, you just got to keep 2 hands on you, keep, like I say, keep working hard, keep asking questions of each other, keep pushing your teammates to strive harder, and, you know, at the end, the destination's usually good, and sometimes you can look back and think, you know, the journey wasn't perfect, but it was a good one, and it showed a lot of character, and, you know, the end of the journey where we've won grand finals has often been nothing but ups and downs away.
Absolutely, good stuff. Just while Rob's here, I was just have to shoot some, but has anybody got anything that I'd like to ask, any questions yourselves? It no matter how daft it might seem, I want to learn people I don't want to ask it.
5'7".
That's me like, they're coming like home. No, all sweet, all happy. I've been banging on about this last few weeks, I've been telling everybody. Doing some Bible studies, and I was reading some stuff on Genesis and that. I listened to this Hebrew guy, and he came out with this quote that was really laughing. This quote, and I thought for me it was just unbelievable. I can remember it right a few If I am I because I am I, then I am I. And if you are you because you are you, then you are you. But if I am I because you are you, or you are you because I am I, then I'm not I and you're not you. Right? And basically all it says is that, we talk about self-image and the ego. Right? That's a lot of our life is determined by our self-image. People think, oh, I don't want to wear that, I don't want to do that, because other people think I'm daft. And that affects you then, and you stop being yourself for the sake of the group. Right? So if you don't want to ask a question, because it might feel that you feel silly, or when your coach says something you don't quite understand it, and you think, oh, I don't want to let everybody know that I don't understand it. If you let external factors control who you are, then you're never going to be you. And if you're not going to be you, you can't possibly be as good as you can be. So when you let go of that ego, right, and that self-image, which really self-image is what you think other people think of you. But why does it matter, A, what other people think of you, and B, how can you control it? You can't, it's irrelevant. So once you get over that, there's a barrier. Alright, standing up here in front of you guys, public speaking, if you Google it, number one human fear. And I don't like doing it, alright, I do it a lot, and I don't really like doing it. I still get as nervous and scared as everybody else. But all I say to myself is, listen, all I can be is me. And if people think I'm a bit daft or a bit odd for doing it, then I can't control that. I just want to live my life being me. Alright, so that's something I want to just leave you with. When you're going through this little journey, just be everything that you can be.
All that, Justin, I've just still got a question for you.
No! There it is!
Obviously, the top 4 or 5 teams in Super League are quite competitive, and there's a big void really between the top 4 or 5 teams and the bottom teams, closing a little bit. And it's the same on the international level. You guys could perform in the NRL week in, week out. How would you improve it? Like, is it something that we need, that origin thing you said about the closest we'll get to the international game is the Super League playoffs? They get origin as well, and they get the international test between New Zealand and Australia yearly. How would you think?
I think personally what they'll do is by taking 2 teams out, I think that'll strengthen the comp. I think at the moment there's probably players playing who probably aren't quite good enough. I don't know how many that is, but I think if you lose the 2 teams, you'll find the better players from them teams will be picked up by the rest of the clubs, and the other guys will get picked up by Championship. I don't mean they're bad players, but they're probably more Championship than they are Super League. So I think that's a big step to it. I'm not sure if the sport's big enough in this country for it ever to be 1 to 12. Could be anybody. I know it can happen now, but I just think the way that sport is, it's about 56 biggest sport in the world. Australia, it's number 1, isn't it? So you're always going to get their first athletes go to rugby league, whilst unless you've got a Wigan or a Cass or anything like that, you're going to choose other sports. So, like I say, we can compete certain many teams, but I don't think it'll ever be like the NFL. But I think by taking 2 teams out, we'll strengthen it.
Do you agree with that? Like, you watch it, you played
Yeah. Again, it's down to the schedule. There's too many games as it is. I enjoyed playing for the Yorkshire Hampshire. It wasn't run right. We had a midweek game, and it wasn't taken very seriously. So it wasn't a great spectacle, a great pinnacle for your career. But it's just down to the schedule. There's too many games. With the playoff system and the Challenge Cup and the league. I think you can play 45 games in a year. By the NRL, I think their season's 22 games and a playoff system. And then it's international, so they can fit it in. You've just got to think physically, bodies are absolutely battered week in, week out. To add even more fixtures, it's very difficult to do.
Got to grow the game for me, just from what like Bob says, the thing's not big enough yet. And that's what we do with rugby and these kind of things. So everybody in this room, if you're a rugby league fan, find somebody who isn't a rugby league fan, invite to the game. It's funny, the majority of people who get invited that I meet now will say, there's been rugby games, I can't believe it, it's awesome, I love it. It's just getting them through that door. I think we can just keep introducing rugby league to people. When we criticise RFL and all that, I think they do as good as they can do. You know what I mean? With what they've got, they're having a dig, everybody's having a dig. We all just need to keep looking at a little bit harder than the game, but bigger and better. Any more questions?
I will.
Yep.
It's for all 3 of us. Who's the best player you've ever played against and why?
A couple of forwards, there's somebody else for that now, for 2005. played in the World Cup Challenge on the road, and he played for, he was only 19. And I think, I don't remember what order it was, I think Ryan Bailey took a carry in this, you know, big Ryan Bailey in this smash thing. And big Marcus Bide, did you pass it forward? Marcus Bide, he used to run through big walls, and he run straight at him, and he smashed him with Marcus Bide off the floor. And you'd never seen that from Marcus. And then it was my goal actually, I'm going to go keep some shape over here. But just for somebody so young, and offload and that, it's unbelievable because he's a superstar like he's turned it there. And probably Sam Tompkins, it kills me to say it, but he's a freaky guy. Talking about athleticism, he's just, to look at him in the street, you just think, who's this here? He can't move it for a bit. But he's so strong and fast and wiry. You get on with him and he'll just collapse into the heap of flipping string and he'll come out all the side of it. So come with them two from me, I don't know what you want.
Yeah, I'd agree with Sam Tompkins. I think only people that come up around every so often, he's a freak, and you should be proud that he's British because I think he's an absolute fantastic talent. So certainly him recently. But back when I was a bit younger, I thought Trent Barrett when he was at Wigan, as an half-back, I'd never seen a player who I played against have as much influence on a team. I played against some really, really good players, but on a regular basis, I say Trent Barrett, he just controlled everything, and Wigan weren't the best team, they didn't win it then, but he had a massive influence on their team.
Yeah, for me, the worst one was probably Jason Robinson, bloody horrible. I'm just pleased I didn't have to play against him because I don't mind the big guys that run straight in, and that's easy to deal with. So little ones that just run around you and just try and make you look stupid. Many times he's peed me off in training, I just wanted to twat him. So. That was behind closed doors and he won the national team recently, could get away with it. He was just horrible. And in his day down Lockyer, again for his presence in the organisation, he was just all around ability. You had everything, Jason Robinson had speed and strength. Down Lockyer just sort of like had the full package and full criteria that you need.
What do you think about the Sam Burgess getting back recently? Do you think that would be in the taking Super League players because of money out of the interest?
It's about challenges, isn't it? It's all about challenges. And Sam's been out in the press and said that he's achieved everything that he can do in rugby league, which it's a little bit naive for him to do that. But I can understand it. Financial wise, he's not needed to go for the money. It's like if you said to me, would you rather play in a rugby league World Cup or a rugby union World Cup? Rugby union win all day. It's a massive spectacle, and it's a challenge. Like I say, he's going as a back. I'd say he'll easily adapt to the game. As a forward, you can't do it. I don't think forwards can cross code. But for me, for the challenge that he's going to take on himself, it's just a personal thing for him. And I think it's a good idea for him. I've saw a lot of lessons and learning curves and new experiences, and if he can play in a rugby union World Cup, then there's no big better experience than that. Imagine winning it, it makes you for life.
Would you go? See you play like that, or would you go?
Right, well, to be honest with you, I've never, I don't even know rules of the game from honest. I mean, some people have aspirations to do other things. I'm not fussed, and obviously money's a lot better than that, and that would only be the reason I'd ever go. I would never go, but that would only be the reason because I wouldn't know the game. So I don't blame Sam. It's a great opportunity for him, and he's an athlete, so he'll get away with any sport. But something has to be done in our sport to keep this from happening. Losing Sam to NRL and Sam Burgess to. Yeah. Something needs to happen. What it needs to happen, I don't know. I think that comes down to the size of our sport, but. I don't blame people taking opportunities.
It's difficult with those two because they're both Mr. Leeds, both live and breathe. Jones definitely could offer him £1 million and he'd never leave the league. Like for me, I'd sell him so.
I'm over it, the old moaning about it. I'm wishing him best of luck. We're not going to get off like Rob says until we haven't got the right to moan about it. If you want to moan about it, then do something about making the league better. Until we're all level par, you can't carry on, you just got to find out best.
What do you think of Kudash and his golden ticket idea? It seemed like the big clubs were all for it, but like the smaller clubs in the league were sort of restricting it and holding the game going bigger financially.
I think Marlon's great. I interviewed him for a magazine about 6 months ago. It's a fascinating character. He's a refugee. I think he walked from Kuwait across Jordan. He walked from Jordan into Kuwait, and he was a kid fighting in the street, shooting people. As a little lad, and his dad took him over in the 70s, and he made all his money up in buildings, so he became a doctor, he's an engineer. The horses in the rugby league is just a bit of a hobby for him. But I think he's not polluted by the history or the, what we call it, paradigm, like being in the culture of rugby league, so he can put fresh ideas in, and I think that's where democracy works really well, when you get people like him coming and throwing ideas. And rugby league's great that they're willing to do things and change things. And I actually think his golden ticket, I think it's a bit of a false economy really for him. I don't think it's working out there as well as he thinks it would. I think he could buy as many marquee players as he wants. I think you can see it's offer anyway. It's not about a player, it's about a team. Newcastle Goodness has been playing really well as a team. I know we've always been playing really well as a group. We're all ingredients and we've got to make this dish. And if you've got like an ice cream with a steak, right, as good as steak and ice cream are, they're not got together. Does that make sense? So he can bring one big marquee player who's not going to change his team. But I also like the idea that I can buy Wakefield as well, so it gives money to them. So I don't know, probably putting somebody cleverer than me that'd have to play it after and see how it works. I
think it's good. I like him. I like what he says. I mean, I don't know how long he'll be involved in it. I don't know if he stays long term, but I think he wants to make the game bigger. And I think you said to me when you interviewed him that there's loads of people like him wanting to get in the game, but because of the salary cap, they won't come in because they literally can't buy a team, which be a bit like Chelsea and Man City, whatever them. But I don't know if that's the right way forward. But so there is people wanting to invest, and he's obviously shown that. But I quite like him. I think he's funny. I think it's funny. He says what he wants, and you can't help but listen to him. Whether stuff happens to what he says, I don't know. But I don't think it's a bad idea. I don't understand enough how it works, but like I said, if you don't want to get teams can get money, and people like that want to chuck money into it, then I think kind of big thing.
Gary voted yes for it, didn't he?
Yeah, he did, yeah.
That's what he seemed all that bigger teams.
Yeah, because Gary
said yeah, go for it, but the small teams didn't.
Gary he'll be just thinking I can sell my ticket and it's money. Because I can't see him paying the massive market.
Small clubs probably don't have money, you know, like that for. I mean, they I don't know why, because they could sell a ticket.
That's what I mean, yeah, they
but yeah, I don't know why they would go against it.
Super. We done. Cool. If I could personally just ask you, give Rob a big round of applause for coming out.